Cincinnati meet for the only time of the regular season. And will it have the drama of a year ago when the Huskies rallied from 12 down to win in the closing seconds? The answer next on the Big East Network. Welcome to Fifth Third Arena on the campus of the University of Cincinnati for Big East basketball. Today, one of the best shot blocking teams in the country, the fifth-rated Connecticut Huskies, take on the Cincinnati Bearcats. Greetings and welcome. Jim Barber along with former Big East and NBA coach Bob Wenzel. Since the early 2000s, UConn has blocked over 1,900 shots. It's a staggering number. Bob, you've seen him over the years. You saw him Tuesday night. What makes him so good?
Well, 7'3", 265, Hashim Thabit is one thing, and Jeff Adrian is the other thing. They block so many shots and they challenge shots, but the war will be in the paint in this game. If you add the two UConn players and Yancey Gates and Mike Williams, you've got 1,000 pounds banging around. So despite the fact that Deontay Vaughn can shoot and Dyson can shoot from the perimeter, this is where the action's going to be.
And a lot of action in practice this week as Cincinnati went through some vicious workouts to get ready. In our Star Watch, a couple of big-time players. When we come back, we'll introduce you to Jeff Adrian and the big long-range shooter. Time now for our Star Watch, and for UConn, we feature the man known as the Warrior, the only true muscle, Jim Calhoun says, number 4, Jeff Adrian of the Huskies.
Well, Jeff Adrian is really a terrific, consistent performer for this team. A senior, he's got great numbers his whole career, and Deontay Vaughn carries the offensive load for Cincinnati. He needs some help from somewhere if they're going to be competitive in this game.
Indeed. Let's take a look at our starting lineups, brought to you by Interstate Batteries for the 13-1 and 2-1 in the Big East. Number 5 rated UConn Huskies. Backcourt of Dyson and Price, and Dyson is their defensive stopper. And the front line of Adrian, Robinson, and Thabit. Out-rebound the opposition the other night, 52-33. For the Bearcats at 10 and 5, Vaughn will play the point and also some shooting guard today. We'll need some help from Larry Davis. Up front, these guys have been through a war after the loss on Wednesday. Williams, Bishop, and Gates. They will go to war today against UConn's best. Jim Calhoun at the hotel last night told us that he is feeling better. That's good news. Getting a lot of sleep as of late. And because of shoot-arounds they haven't had, that's allowed him to catch up on his rest. Just 13 wins shy of 800. And Mick Cronin, well, he's been feeling well, but not too well about his team lately. They haven't guarded a 3 at all, Bob. And while UConn's not a deep threat with the ball today, they are going to have to be aware of those good looks.
Well, against Marquette, they really had a difficult time, and also against Providence.
John Kell, Ray Perrone, and Doug Simmons, veteran crew. We're ready to go to work at Cincinnati, in the home white gets a chance to score first.
Well, the thing about Cincinnati is they are a little bit balanced offensive team, but Deontay is the guy who gets the most. He's going to run the baseline right here. Number 5, he is their outstanding Big East performer, first team All-League last year. He is going to look to score all the time.
And right now, Dyson on him as Yancey Gates, the Cincinnati product, takes the first shot. It's a bad one, and it's off to UConn, and here comes A.J. Price.
Price had the worst game of his career against West Virginia at the end of the night, and that is by his notion, not anybody else's. He was 0 for 9, didn't guard anybody, and he's an all-Big East performer. Thabit, the 7'3" man, they will try to go to him early in the game, Jim, and test the strength inside.
Huskies inside the dark uniforms and score early. Stanley Robinson gets the first field goal of the game. UConn in the dark blue against Cincinnati in the home white.
Stanley Robinson had some issues last year, took a leave of absence from UConn and worked in a factory and has only played, this is his 7th game. Think about that. Sheet metal factory. A little bit better to go to calculus than be loading sheet metal all day, huh?
Calculus for me was a tough subject. Here come the Huskies, just 1 defeat this year. That was at home against Georgetown.
Yeah, they are not a great three-point shooting team. They're going to try to pound it inside with the pass to their big guys or dribble it to the paint with their guards like this.
Price has had some good practices since that 0 for 9 shooting, and he finds Stanley Robinson, who scores again for the Huskies.
That is typical UConn basketball, Jim. Dribble to the paint. Price and Dyson, quickness, get it in there. You're better off playing compact, sagging man-to-man against them.
Vaughn with the later scores to the free throw line. You and I were here last year when he lit up Okay, with 34 points at 8 made threes in the game.
But he was unbelievable that night, wasn't he? He got to my top list. One of my favorite players that night. Connecticut dominate the interior as they usually do, and the defense is their signature, both inside and on the perimeter. Dyson, the best perimeter defender.
Not a bad move on the bounce there as he picks up a personal foul. He'll have a chance to go to the free throw line to shoot twice.
Even though Connecticut is number 5 in the nation and Cincinnati has got a 10-5 record and has lost 2 Big East games, this is really still a threat to Jim Calhoun and his staff. He's very, very concerned about this team. He's concerned about the physicality of the inside players of the Bearcats, and they have come out very, very focused.
He calls Cincinnati a desperate team. 0-2 start in the Big East. You might say, what's the big deal about that? A lot of games to be played. Well, have you looked at the Big East lately and all the ranked teams?
9 ranked teams in the league. The first time in history that's ever happened.
Official Ray Perone talked about that prior to tip-off today. He said, man, what a league we're in.
Oh, man, I'll tell you. For Cincinnati, they've got to find secondary scorers besides Deontay Vaughn. You know he's going to have a good time. Look at Dyson and Vaughn out here. And then, of course, they've got to be physical and maintain on the boards. Keep your eye on Dyson and Vaughn. This is going to be a tremendous matchup. Jerome Dyson, number 11 for Connecticut, is very proud of his defense. The last 2 games, he held down Rosario, who's a good three-point shooter from Rutgers, and Alex Ruoff is one of the best three-point shooters in the league. He is going step to step with Vaughn away from the ball.
Ruoff the other night just 4 of 16 shooting in West Virginia's loss. The beat tries to go over the back. Good position by the freshman Gates, and here come the Cats on a run. And look at the defensive play by Stanley Robinson.
He is long, huh? 7'2" wingspan on a 6'9" player. Having him back in their lineup has really, really been good.
From the free throw line, Jeff Adrian. Well over 1,300 points. Eventually, they'll get to 1,000 rebounds. Only Emeka Okafor has done that in UConn history. Rebound to Gates, who talked yesterday with the media about playing up against the beat. He said, I used to watch him in high school and always wondered, how do I get my shot over him?
Well, he's going to find out tonight, isn't he?
He sure is. All right, the top 25, the Big East has 9 teams in it, and you look at it and you go, okay, one of those teams is going to finish in position 9 or worse, which means they've got to play on Tuesday in New York City in the postseason tournament, and they'll have to win 5 games to win the postseason tournament.
That's not happening. That is not happening. This, of course, you're referring to the fact that this is the first year in the history that all 16 teams will play in the Big East tournament at the Garden. In the past, it's only been 12. So as a result, one of those ranked teams might be playing early.
Amazing. And today, Marquette ran its conference record to 4-0 with a good second half push against West Virginia. So by virtue of more games played, Marquette has first place in the Big East Conference.
The beat is out. Gavin Edwards in his place. So UConn a little smaller right now. This is the format that we were talking about, and these are the things that we told you. All 16 teams qualify, so you don't have to worry at the end of the season whether you're going to go to New York. Here's the interesting part. The top 4 teams in the league, Jim, get 2 byes to the semifinals. Number 5 through 8 get 1 bye. So you are going to be rewarded for finishing in the top 4 or the top 8 in the league, and I think that's an important thing. You don't want the regular season to count for naught.
Imagine being in New York City for a week for this tournament. It's going to happen in mid-March. First time ever, all 16 teams invited. The women have all 16 invited to Hartford. In and out. Foul called inside on Cincinnati.
Well, Cincinnati's interior players, Mike Williams in your screen and Yancey Gates for Mick Cronin, are very inexperienced. Williams had to sit out 2 years. He transferred from Texas, normal sit out first year. Then he broke his Achilles, so he had to sit out all last year. And Gates is a freshman. And they're going up against experienced players in Thabit and Adrian and Edwards.
Mick Cronin lost Williams last year. Then this year, he lost Kashmir Wright before the year started.
Gates just bumped the beat right here on the way down.
And with that, a personal foul. UConn has had the lead from the beginning. We have a television timeout. Our score, Huskies 8, Bearcats 4. Today's Big East Coaches Spotlight is brought to you by Oppenheimer Funds. The right way to invest. Let's take a look at the legendary coach, Jim Calhoun, who already has 2 national championships, as you know, in 1999 and 2004, and 787 career wins. That's 7th best all time, and still going strong.
Yeah, Hall of Famer, and has done an absolutely remarkable job with this program, and they are among the elite because of that man right there.
Yancey Gates, his 2nd personal foul in just 4 minutes. Not good news for Cincinnati's front line.
Well, watching Hasheem Thabeet, he figured out what he was going to do against him, and he got 2 fouls early. And one was a little bit just push on that way down the floor that Ray Perone saw off the ball. So now inside, they will have an even more important advantage.
Steve Toiloy, who stands at 6'8", has stepped in the lineup for Cincinnati. And right now he's on Adrian. Looking at the goal, and now back to the basket.
Oh, this is beautiful. You notice how he did not put the ball on the floor. He waited for the double team to clear. That is an educated play. That is a senior who has played tons and tons of basketball in this league.
The Huskies, with the last 6 points, have built a 10-4 lead. Williams will try a long jumper. He hit one earlier. Fighting for the rebound, out muscles Dyson, and that allows Vaughn for 3.
Well, Dyson went for the loose ball, and then he couldn't guard Deontay Vaughn. You give Vaughn some space, he's got the veritable green light. He's going to knock him down. You mentioned he made 8 of 11, Jim, here last year. That was an awesome display.
And still somehow UConn came back from a dozen down to win the game. Rashad Bishop gets position, and Thabeet picks up the personal foul.
Well, you want to know how to play in the post? Watch Jeff Adrian. Catches the ball, puts it under his chest, doesn't go anywhere, doesn't lose his footing, waits for the double team in traffic to end, and a nice little jump hook. And then at the other end, here's a 3. He's not going to get many of these open looks, and when he does, boy, that net barely moved, huh?
Vaughn had 20 the other night, Bob. He had nothing against Marquette, shutout for the first time on 0 of 8 shooting. Pretty stunning.
Yeah, in the first time in his career. Yep. Although he did have 10 assists in that game.
On the drive to the basket, a little strong, but followed up by Steve Toiloy. Calhoun said that's goaltending. But the outside official, John Cal, said,
Steve from Miami. I'll tell you what, that's a pretty hot move there, huh?
He's like a neighbor of yours, practically.
Yeah, Miami-Dade Junior College. First year for the Bearcats.
Cincinnati has answered with 5 straight points of its own, making the score 10-9. And a 3-second violation against UConn. Big East basketball continues Saturday. Dominique Jones and the South Florida Bulls into Morgantown to take on Bob Huggins and his West Virginia Mountaineers. The Big East game of the week on the Big East Network as South Florida takes on West Virginia Saturday at noon, 11 a.m. Central. Tough week for the Mountaineers. You saw them Tuesday night against UConn, and they lose today on the road in Milwaukee.
And they were the number 20. They are the number 22 ranked team in the nation. I like the spirit of Cincinnati, don't you, in this game?
Sure.
I mean, they're really playing hard. They're going after it.
And the plan is not to back away from Thabeet, to try to put their body into his, which Yates says is very key. Gates says is very key if you're going to challenge somebody at 7'3".
Well, a key guy, number 15 in your screen right here, is Kemba Walker. Freshman, Rice High School, New York City, the USA Gym under 18 national team MVP. This guy has a motor. He played great against West Virginia, had 10 points, 8 rebounds. He was in at the end in place of A.J. Price, the All-American candidate. This guy really can ignite the offense.
And Jim Calhoun said last night the thing that was impressive not only was Walker's performance, but the way Price treated him.
Yeah. He
was on the bench, he was cheering, he was giving advice, despite the fact that Price had a horrible night.
Yeah, you love to see that, don't you? Good numbers so far this year. He's an active guy. He's going to have a lot of turnovers too, but he's going to have a lot of points and assists as well.
Gates ready to step back in with 2 personal fouls at the 13:29 mark of the first half. Are you surprised?
Yes, I am surprised. That's an interesting substitution, especially since Toiloy was doing a pretty good job in there. Interesting.
So let's see if Yancey can avoid number 3.
Also a different matchup on Vaughn. Kemba Walker is going to try to guard Vaughn. Dyson's their best perimeter guy.
Here's Gates down low against Edwards. Gets his rebound. Follow-up. Missed it. And back comes UConn, no foul call, and here's Price in transition. Austria for three. Edwards got clobbered by Bishop, or maybe the ball taken out of his hands. And here comes Cincinnati on the run. Vaughn spinning the goal. Action starting to pick up, and UConn back the other way. A.J. Price off an 0 for 9 night. Buries the jumper.
I'll tell you, what action end to end. Welcome to the Big East, Yancey Gates. Boy, I'll tell you, normally he almost had a dunk on that. It was challenged, action above the rim at that end, and Fabit's not even in the game.
Price has 2 field goals, again, scoreless the other night, and it was mentioned that he had a terrific shooting practice in which he hit more than 30 jumpers in a 30-second span.
I'm wondering if Vaughn can go 40 minutes. He looks fatigued right now.
It's going to be hard.
They are really making him work.
On the key to Cincinnati's attack is Bishop cutting the lane. Larry Davis with 3 to shoot. Bishop will throw up a desperation.
Terrific defense right there by UConn, and the reason that they win so much on the road, as you see this graphic, Jim, is because of that defense. They've always had great shot blocking, and as a result, the guards can take more challenges out front and pressure more without worrying about getting beat. That is big-time offense on the road for this defense on the road for Jim.
And the Huskies have not lost on the road this year or at neutral sites. The atmosphere not nearly as electric as last year when they had close to 13,000. The crowd expected today about 7,500. Cincinnati goes zone. The beat down low against Gates and double team by Toyloy. That sends an extra shooter. And on the drive to the basket, count it and put him on the line.
Well, Kemba Walker gets that drive to the basket and an assist for the big guy. Hasheem Thabeet only has 5 of these on the year, but this was a good one. Lots of action in the Big East, Jim.
Basketball, our score, UConn 14 and Cincinnati 9. Moments ago, Steve Toyloy contributed his 2nd personal foul for Cincinnati on Kemba Walker's drive and basket. So that means Toyloy and Gates both have 2 fouls apiece. And that frontline problem just got a little larger, Bob.
Indeed, and they play with those 2 and Mike Williams, I mean, are their 3 inside. We said at the beginning of the game, Cincinnati had to find some secondary scorers. So far in the game, Deontay has 7 and Williams has 2. Nobody else has scratched.
Walker, an 81% shooter. And the Huskies have regained their biggest margin. And they'll put on some pressure. And their full court or 3/4 court press is one of the best.
2-2-1. They try to trap you at the 10-second line. They got small guys in, so they're not as long. Then when they get through it, then they're back to man-to-man. 3-guard lineup right now for UConn. I think it's time for Cincinnati to pound it inside and take advantage.
Let's see if Gates gets position or Williams, as Williams sets a screen for Vaughn. This is Mike Williams on a handoff to Gates. Williams cleaning up, and he'll go to the free throw line. Big Mike Williams, who was met with just about every obstacle, but finds himself in the center of the attack right now for Cincinnati, and he goes to the free throw line.
Well, with the 3-guard lineup in there right now, I think you take it to the paint, and then you get on the boards with 4 people if you're Cincinnati, and that's what they did on that possession. Mike Williams has not played in 2 years. That is a long time for a basketball player his age to be out of action. And of course, the 1 year was because of having to sit out the transfer from Texas, and then he had that Achilles. Pretty good numbers in his first year of playing.
I think the official numbers were, by the time he had played his last game in Texas and his first game in Cincinnati, was something like 979 days.
That's a long time.
Boy, how do you keep your composure? Great drop down from guard to the big man, Thabeet.
The high-low action. Adrian and Thabeet working very well together, as does Gavin Edwards when he's in the game. Mean screen by Williams in the backcourt, huh?
But everybody's okay, and they play on.
Craig Austrey's in there, Mr. Reliable in the backcourt, number 24 for Connecticut. He's got the duty of trying to guard Vaughn.
Austrey had a big night on the return. the other day for UConn. And on the fast break, Cincinnati picks up the ball and then gets tied up by Dyson. No, they get a timeout before anything happened.
Well, Mick Cronin wants a foul. He's saying they grabbed his arm, but a botched fast break by UConn. You don't see that very often.
All season long, Champion Apparel will be showcasing the tradition and history of the Big East Conference. Today, let's take a look at the retired numbers here at Cincinnati. Let's begin with number 12, the Big O, Oscar Robertson. How good was he? Well, at the end of his senior season, his number was retired. Everybody had a pretty sure bet. Jack Twyman, number 27, was cut 3 consecutive years from his high school team. And they went on to fame at Cincinnati, the NBA. Kenyon Martin, what can you say about him? The best ever for rejections for the Bearcats. Champion, it's how you play. We're the best ever to don a uniform for the Cincinnati Bearcats.
I would like to add a note on Oscar Robertson. You see he had nearly 3,000 points. He averaged 33 points and 15 rebounds a game for 3 years. Back in those days, you couldn't play freshman, and nobody was going to the NBA early. What a phenomenal player, one of the best in the history of college and NBA basketball, Oscar.
I agree, and typically he hangs around the program, watching practices and games to still be a part of it all. Dyson to the basket. What a move end-to-end by Jerome Dyson.
Jim, it was 1 on 4. 4 jerseys were back for Cincinnati, and Dyson put his head down and went anyway.
By the way, a footnote to Oscar's great accomplishments, the quickest to 1,000 points as well. Williams, a little mid-range jumper, no problem from the left baseline for Mike Williams. He's been, along with Deontay Vaughn, the only part of the offense for the Cats they've combined for the 13 points. Back to the quickest for 1,000 look. Pretty good bunch of guys on there. Vaughn, it took 63 games. Oscar, what, barely a season?
I'll tell you, it's unbelievable, the numbers that Oscar Robertson had. And, of course, Deontay Vaughn is really doing a terrific job in his career here.
Good handoff by Dyson, but Adrian got rejected.
They've got an opportunity here.
And Vaughn, open 3.
He is comfortable in this building.
And he's comfortable in this building against UConn. Another block, and Cincinnati once again with numbers. This would tie it. And a foul call on the Huskies, and that being beyond the beat.
Well, Mick Cronin's happy right now. Jim Barber, which team did you say was the leading shot blocking team in the nation? I think you said UConn, huh? 2 in a row for Cincinnati. Mike Williams does a terrific job. No body, nothing. Hand right on the ball. And the transition was good as well. Vaughn hit a 3 on the previous one. Nice D by Mike Williams. You know, you figure he's going to get better and better as time goes on. You enumerated how long it was before he played.
Right now, Cincinnati going up against the Hashim Thabit-less team. He's picked up his 2nd foul. A reminder, golf fans, club pros, registration for the 2009 ESPN National Golf Challenge already underway for courses and teams in the gross net and new $55 senior division. For more information, log on to ESPNGolf.com.
Well, Jonathan Mandeldub is in the game, Jim, and he doesn't play a lot. Thabit is on the bench with fouls, but you talk about depth of a team. UConn has a great deal of it. Now, they are not a good outside shooting team, so they will try to pound it inside, and they're really having difficulty. Last 3 possessions have been turnovers.
Robinson lost the ball. Cronin wanted a foul, and he doesn't get it. We play on with Rashad Bishop. This again would tie the game. And a foul called on Cincinnati on the defensive rebound by the Huskies. Well, it's starting to get as spirited as it was last year when UConn came to this building. Not nearly as pronounced with the season as the Huskies are right now. In fact, as you take a look at the foul, Jim Calhoun called the game against Mick Cronin in Cincinnati last year, the win, a springboard to a season because they went on that long winning streak after that.
Yep. And they got to the NCAA, but Price got hurt, and they lost to San Diego in the 1st round.
Price comes right back, knocks down a 3. How about this kid? Apparently he had a wonderful shooting practice recently, and he is showing it tonight with 7.
Well, 0 for 9 against West Virginia, came out determined, and so far doing a terrific job. when you play zone defense, he's really the only guy on the team that you got to be aware of from three-point range. You can pack it in. I think it's better to play the man-to-man and be sagging in the paint.
That's goaltending as Biggie gets a basket. Even 8 minutes to go in the first half. Anthony McLean with a hoop to make it 22-18, and you can determine at home if it's the right call.
Jump hook by McLean. Robinson with his hands on it.
What do you think?
Oh, definitely it was the right call.
Ball coming down.
2-3 zone right here. They can play it compact. They don't have to extend too much. They've got to be aware of number 12, Price. Inside out is what UConn wants to do.
Robinson to Dyson, and that motion missed. And as Robinson tries to get a rebound, the Huskies pick up a personal foul.
Well, we talked before the game about the paint being where the activity will be. Lots of physical play inside and lots of fouls.
Welcome back to Big East Network Basketball. 22 for UConn, 18 for Cincinnati. Just a few nights ago, the Cats lost to Providence, but not because of the performance of Vaughn and Williams, who had 20 apiece.
Well, Vaughn did it in a lot of different ways, and Williams the best game of his career, even though in a losing effort. Two guys with 20. It's been some time since that happened at Cincinnati. Nice turnaround jumper by Mike Williams, playing under control and getting better as time goes on.
A combined 40, and again, the first dual effort like that since 227 a few years back.
That was you and me, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had 20 apiece that day when we were doing that game.
By the way, I'm Jim Barber, along with Bob Wenzel, who led Rutgers and Jacksonville to the NCAA tournament.
Yes, yes, back in the olden days, huh?
Not that old. And unfortunately, those two teams haven't been back since.
No, they haven't. But I'll tell you, one of those guys, Otis Smith, who played for me at Jacksonville, is now the general manager of the Orlando Magic. And he looks like a genius, having picked Dwight Howard, who's the best big guy in the NBA.
His team last night was up on Atlanta 71-33 at halftime.
2-3 zone on the part of Connecticut right here. First time they've used zone in the game. A little odd lineup for a 2-3 zone because they've got 3 guards in the game.
Vaughn's got to shoot quickly to beat the shot clock. He missed it. But another offensive board for Cincinnati, this time by Alvin Mitchell.
Vaughn has 10 points. Williams 6. And McLean has that 2 on the goaltending call. Nobody else has scored.
Mitchell will wind up 3, and he's way off the mark. Cincinnati on 3-point attempts, 2 of 7. Dyson, they're going to give him that look at the free throw line, and Dixon came over to block it.
I'll tell you what, Dyson turns a turnover and a bad play into a basket for his teammate. Boy, does he have quick hands. Wow.
And Gavin Edwards got the basket. 3 UConn players have 2 fouls apiece. Robinson, Thabit, and Edwards.
Yeah, those are their shot blockers inside.
There's that patent trap by UConn, results in a turnover.
I'll tell you, you talk about defense, how about Dyson? The last 2 plays, he's been terrific.
Nobody caught Edwards underneath, and he slipped and fell. And so UConn down a man for the moment, as here comes Dixon, the freshman.
Edwards not used to this cold, rainy weather. He's from Arizona. I think that's why he slipped.
Well, you were appropriately dressed prior to dinner last night, so you're okay with it, right?
Oh, yeah. Basketball weather.
On to Pittsburgh tomorrow to see the #1 team in the country.
Oh, they're going to be good, huh?
Mitchell's second try at 3 is successful.
Finally, he says, get me the ball. I can make some shots.
Absolutely. 24-21, fast-moving first half. Hardly any free throw shot, 2 for 2 for Cincinnati, and UConn 3 of 5. Well, you mentioned the numbers in the paint. They are dominating. Let's show you how they do it.
Well, you know, they passed the ball to the paint. That's what they did early in this game when Stanley Robinson got involved. And then they go inside to Adrian, who's their most reliable post-up player, and a high-low to Hashim Thabit. It's been all them in the paint. Then the drive. The guards get involved in the paint as well, Jim. And that's what makes them such a dangerous team in that where it says Big East. 14-2 so far, huh?
Adrian rims a 1-and-1. That's UConn's calling card going inside. They don't attempt many threes.
No.
Therefore, haven't made a whole lot of threes this year.
Yeah, they were 3 for 10 against Georgetown. They were 1 for 8 against West Virginia, and against Rutgers, they were 4 for 7, pretty good. But they've only taken 25 threes in their 3 Big East games. That is minimal.
And again, it should be noted, Cincinnati has not defended the 3 very well, particularly the last couple of games. In fact, in the game last year in which Cincinnati was beaten by 45 by the Huskies, they gave up 9 threes in 17 attempts. Now we've got a 1-point game at 24-23, and Cincinnati continues with a zone, and why not?
I'm perplexed why UConn is playing zone.
Austrie for 3, Mr. Reliable knocks it down.
Yeah, he is reliable. Austrie, one of those guys who just plays. He was the starter until Robinson came back, Jim. 30 assists, 11 turnovers on the year. 3-to-1 ratio, that's pretty darn good.
And in this building last year, Mr. Clutch, 8 made free throws and 8 attempts to help UConn come from 12 back to win.
This is crazy right here. I don't understand why UConn is playing zone. That helps Cincinnati.
And Williams found a seam in that zone pretty close to the basket.
I know he's concerned probably about the fouls, 2 fouls with the inside players, but man, with the 3 guys they have on the perimeter, they could pressure people and not give them so many easy shots.
Like Williams now with 8, 2-point game, 27-25.
The quality of shots, the quality of shots that Cincinnati is getting, they're getting against zone. They weren't getting that quality against man-to-man.
Good penetration there by Walker, but he missed it. And the Cats with a basket will tie the game. Gates, free throw line extended. He is fouled by Walker going for the steal. And when we come back, we got some free throws to be shot. 27-25, Cincinnati the underdog, hanging with the big dog, the Huskies. Moments ago, Bob mentioned the UConn zone, so let's have him take us inside the play and find out why.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think the reason UConn is going zone is because they have 3 interior players with 2 fouls, and then you go zone. But Cincinnati, 3 possessions in a row, has gotten a quality shot. Mike Williams steps into the seam right here, gets an easy one. Gates had an easy one, and Alvin Mitchell hit a 3. A zone is something that Jim Calhoun is usually allergic to. They very rarely play zone, and I think the foul trouble has gotten them doing that, but it is not something that they relish, and they don't execute it very well.
Look at their 3-point defense, which is usually pretty strong. Overall, they're one of the top 10 field goal defending teams in the country.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with their shot blocking. This is a good-looking freshman right here, Mr. Yancey Gates, who's from Cincinnati, hometown guy. Only shoots 52% from the charity stripe, but he does look like he has a pretty neat stroke, doesn't he?
Yes.
What a body he has in his last 7 games. Big numbers, huh? 12 and 7. Like it.
Best time to pick it up as you get into the monster season of the Big East Conference. Looked like Williams was in the lane, and they're going to, nope, not going to say anything. It's a made free throw. They whistle Toyloy in. We have our third tie at 27. I thought Williams jumped in too quick.
I did too. Gates has got to feel pretty good about himself right now. Now, keep in mind, he's doing the damage most of the time when Fabit is not in the game.
Cincinnati will continue with the zone. Adrian dropped down.
It's been effective.
On the hop, here's Dyson. He's called for traveling by official Ray Perone, and that's the 4th turnover. Very few turnovers on both sides because it's been primarily a half-court game.
Yeah, and you know what we're getting here, I think, is aggression. 3 losses in a row by Cincinnati. They lose to Memphis. You know, they lose to Marquette, then they lose to Providence. Now they're playing a 5th-ranked team in the nation. I mean, they got to be fired up and aggressive, and, you know, that's their thing. And, of course, Connecticut on the road against a desperate team. Both of these teams have guys in foul trouble because of that.
Here's Kemba Walker on a 2-against-1. Great bounce pass at the right time. Austrie rolls it in.
Right time is correct. So many times you see guys botch the 2-on-1 situations. That was perfectly executed.
Back to a 2-point lead. Cincinnati is trailed by as much as 8.
Interesting, Vaughn has been out of the game quite a bit in terms of productivity. He's in the game, but out in terms of productivity.
That's going to be a foul call, and Adrian looked like he threw an elbow while he was on the floor as well. Let's go back to the last possession and how physical this game is becoming, as you alluded to at the beginning that it would.
Well, the proper way to finish a fast break between Austrie and Kemba Walker, and then at the other end, this is the Big East, baby. No blood, no foul usually. And right here, we're going to get a foul. Adrian's going to get a chance at the free throw line.
We were shoot around today. Mick Cronin wasn't in the best of moods, and he was commanding his team, demanding that his team play physical and go up and get rebounds, and they have answered the charge, I believe.
He is a fiery coach in his third year here, had success at Murray State, an assistant to Rick Pitino for a while, assistant here. Last time that Cincinnati was in the NCAA tournament was in '05 when Bob Huggins was coach. And of course he had that great run here, now at West Virginia. 14 straight NCAA tournaments for the Hugs.
In the mid-'90s, Mick Cronin was the video coordinator at the University of Cincinnati.
Yeah, and he's a Cincinnati guy. Isn't it great to see a guy like that get rewarded for his loyalty and everything?
Absolutely.
It's nice to see.
Adrian leaves 1 of 2, a one-possession game at 30-27, under 3 minutes to the first half.
Look on the back line on the weak side on the right. Craig Austrie, 24, a little guard, is playing in the back line of a 2-3 zone. Cincinnati can attack that side. And they do.
Larry Davis, whose dad was a star at SMU college basketball, has retied the game at 30.
This is really weird watching both teams play 2-3 zone.
How long do you think Calhoun goes with it?
Probably till the end of the half. He's concerned about foul trouble. I can't believe that they're in the zone for any other reason.
Shot clock is at 10. Walker with a look to Price. Long range three over Vaughn. Missed it. Mandalov able to block his man out, and Austrie to get the rebound and to get a reset.
Austrie doesn't need to pass it to Mandalov on the short corner there. That's a dangerous place for that guy to handle the ball. They can dribble penetrate against this. It's extended.
Let's see if Price does that. Walker will at the free throw line. Got the ball stripped. Cincinnati going for the lead for the first time. And they've got Williams on the low blocks. Good help side defense by Jeff Adrian. But Bishop finds an open lane, and he rimmed it.
Little fatigue on players I see out here. Guys dragging a little.
Foul call on Cincinnati. Cronin wanted double dribble. He's spirited his team out there, isn't he?
I'm telling you, every call. People are on it right here. Walker penetrates. Got hands on him. Guys slapping at him. But going into traffic, not an advisable thing in this game.
Not at all. Mick's team has now won a Big East game dating back to February of the past season. They finished the year, the regular season, losing the last 5 in the conference, lost the first game in the tournament, and have lost the first 2 of this season.
Wow, I didn't think about that. Yeah, that builds up the pressure, doesn't it?
Yep. Coming up at halftime, the Big East Wire, Big East scores and news, as a lot of teams have already put games in the books so far, and highlights and statistics of a pretty entertaining first half.
You think we're going to be talking about Big East teams that are ranked playing against one another at halftime? Yeah. It's almost unavoidable.
Have you seen the Big Monday schedule on ESPN? Nothing but ranked teams.
What's interesting about that is what's going to happen. I used to vote on the USA Today. It's a coaches poll. And teams are going to beat teams, you know. 2 ranked teams to play today, right? But West Virginia plays Marquette, and a ranked team gets beat. And it's going to be like that a lot, so it'll be interesting to see if it goes down.
Cincinnati beat the pressure, and as Gates went to slam it, he got fouled. He'll go to the free throw line with a $1:17 left in the first half.
Educated against the press. Nice ball handling going to the weak side. A good hard foul by Mandeldove. No harm intended, but don't want to give up a dunk. Good play all around. Now Gates needs to finish it with 2 free throws like he did last time.
Mandeldove's first personal foul the first half.
Gates, I'll tell you, you talk about a body. 6'9", 260. He lost some weight when he came in here. He was 280. And there are a lot of big guys like him in this league.
I think Adrian stepped in there in the lane, so that's another opportunity for Gates. These guys are pretty anxious to get to the rebound, aren't they?
So we talk about some Big East big men, Jim Barber, and here are some that I like a lot. Harangody and Blair, of course. Onuwako, who's leading the country in field goal percentage, and Hashim Thabit, the shot blocker in this game. Nancy Gates someday will be among those.
And if you're just joining us, Hasheem Thabeet has been absent from play for a while because of 2 early personal fouls, and so they're keeping him on the shelf.
You can pass against the zone or you can dribble penetrate against the zone. Right now, Connecticut's keeping it on the perimeter. That is not advisable for their personnel.
And we're under 1 minute for the first half, and the shot clock is getting down to single numbers. Price from the left side for 3, knocked it down.
He made a 3 against Gonzaga to save the day in Seattle earlier this year. Remember that? He had 24 points and 10 rebounds. He made a 3 to force the overtime, and they beat Gonzaga. Boy, that was a clutch shot right there.
And if you're a UConn fan, you feel for A.J. Price, who was 0 for 9 the other night in a win at West Virginia, got benched, and afterwards said, worst game of my college career, shot lights out during practice after that, and he's coming back with a charge tonight.
He looks confident, doesn't he?
15 seconds to go. Williams for the free throw line. That's been his shot.
Nice execution against the zone.
Huskies by 1, the final possession of the first half. Price to try to knock down another 3. He did it!
Oh! AJ, are you kidding me? Oh, man!
Shut out the other night and smoking this afternoon, A.J. Price. Good first half.
Well, A.J. Price is saving his UConn teammates today. He makes this 3, which is kind of standard, but it was near the end of a shot clock, which made it dramatic. And this one with 2 seconds to go from nearly out of bounds. The senior really helping things.
13 first half points for A.J. Price, which includes 3 made threes. 6 of those points in the last 45 seconds. Let's take a look back at our first half highlights, which began well, Bob, for Cincinnati. Deontay Vaughn, 3 of his 10 points.
Well, he's the #1 scorer on this team, and he got off to a good start. He's got 10 points in the first half on all kinds of shots, but the 3 is his calling card, and he's been accurate. Connecticut pounded it inside early in the game, as you would think. The problem for Connecticut is 2 of their pounders got to the bench with 2 fouls. Hasheem Thabeet, the 7'3" center, and Stanley Robinson. So the guards took over, and when Cincinnati went zone, A.J. Price took over the game. Coming off the worst game in his career, he hits 2 threes in the last minute, 1 from downtown Cincinnati, and Price with 13 points has got his team with the lead.
That's a look at our PNC first half highlights. Vaughn and Williams have split 20 points so far. They split 40 the other night in a loss to Providence. Rashad Bishop throws it into Vaughn. We go to work in the second half. Cincinnati again in the home white.
The 3-point defense of Cincinnati, or the lack thereof, is biting them in this one as well. Last 3 games, people are shooting over 50% from 3-point range against the Bearcats.
Williams on the miss to start, and the rebound to UConn. In that Marquette game, it was abysmal. 3-point defending. Marquette hit 15 threes in 25 tries. And keep in mind, UConn shot very well against Cincinnati in the last regular season game of the year last year, 9 of 17. Off the turnover, here comes Vaughn to the basket.
Well, that's the second goaltend in the game for Stanley Robinson. That's bad news. The good news is he is back in the game, only played 8 minutes in the first half because of fouls. That's the new rule. The ball touched the backboard above the rim, and even if it's on the way up, it's automatic goaltend.
Good rule. Allows officials a little bit more discretion on something like that. It becomes rather obvious as Adrian cleans up, working his way toward 1,000 rebounds. He already has, again, over 1,300 career points at UConn.
Remember how odd it looked in the first half to see the guys in blue playing zone? Well, they're back man to man, and Thabeet should be well rested, as should Robinson.
Both of them spent a lot of time on the pine in the first half because of 2 early fouls.
Yeah, only 9 and 8 points, 9 and 8 minutes.
And yet UConn got the first half lead thanks to Price, and there Vaughn will have an opportunity to shoot twice.
Vaughn is strong, isn't he? About 195 pounds. So he can shoot, but he can really take it to the paint. Watch the pull-up right here. 3 guys slap him. He's going to get 6 free throws on this one. Just kidding. And, you know, he's pretty good from the free throw line, too. 83% on the year. It's been good his whole career. He has an odd setup. Watch him the next time he takes a shot. He dribbles the ball with his left hand and then shoots it right hand. Very, very unusual. The key thing for free throw shooting, of course, is confidence and form, and then you have your routine. And watch Vaughn, he'll bounce the ball with his left hand. Big numbers for him on the year.
Great recovery from an awful shooting day in Milwaukee last Sunday. There's the spin. And the made free throw.
He's not going to miss two anytime soon, I'll tell you that much.
And playing the point tonight, Kashmir Wright was the selected point guard for the University of Cincinnati, but he was hurt in preseason, tore his ACL, and is out for the year. We watched him shoot before tonight's game. He's got great range. Good inside out. Price tries again. Price is on fire.
He loves it going to the left, doesn't he? He likes that little dribble to the left before he shoots. He could have shot that off the pass and didn't. His comfort level is fading to the left a little.
Shutout Tuesday night at Morgantown, 16 points against Cincinnati this afternoon.
Dyson all over Vaughn. Boy, are they working hard.
And the key, as you mentioned earlier, is make Vaughn work and get him tired out as this game progresses.
Indeed. And he did get tired in the first half as well. Right here, watch the fade to the left. The one dribble, pull up going that way. I tell you, that was right in the bottom.
Good recognition by one of the big men to find Price open. Davis tries to make his second three. Bonus points there.
Well, that's what he's supposed to do. You mentioned Kashmir Wright. He was supposed to be the point guard and Vaughn the two. Instead, Vaughn's combo, as is Larry Davis, is the two.
From the free throw line, they leave Adrian alone, and he buries it again. He's finding a nice little hole from 15 feet out.
I don't like zone if I'm playing against UConn, and the reason I don't is they're well educated against zone. I think the best way to play them, especially if you're Cincinnati, because you're a good physical team, is to play man-to-man, but don't pressure too much. Just sag it.
Little back cut for Vaughn. He missed it, but it's tipped back up and in, and I think Yancey Gates gets credit for that. Now, Gates has 2 personal fouls, so he's got to be a bit careful. And he got those 2 fouls along with the beat early in the first half.
Well, UConn is such a good team that, you know, they're ranked 5th in the nation. They got a lot of things they do well, but they can go big, and then they can go with 3 guards. I think they just survived the first half.
Adrian came out to set a pick for Price, who rimmed the 3. And on the activity in the corner, it's off of UConn and Jerome Dyson. Bob, let's take us inside the play that just happened moments ago.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, it's an interesting from both sides of it right here. A good play, finding the open man on the out-of-bounds play. They collapsed in the middle, and Davis gets the wide-open jump shot because they collapsed along the baseline where the ball was passed. Nice execution by Cincinnati.
Davis has 2 made threes, so the key to that is Davis knocking down the long-range shot, and he's been able to do it so far.
Dyson has bumped into 4 picks already on this possession.
Wow. Now off the double team, the turnover force. Good defense by UConn. Here come the Huskies on the break, and Dyson gets clobbered by Vaughn as he tries to score off the wing.
I'll tell you, Dyson is really working at the defensive end. It's nice to see him get rewarded with 2 free throws at this end. Good pass. Look at the Price leading his team out there. 3-5. I'm not sure what that is, but it's probably the defense that he's calling out. Price trying to get a little wind right here.
Both Dyson and Price have had off-court difficulties in their years at UConn, but everything seems to be settling in, and these 2 guys are pivotal if UConn will continue on the 5-year plan, meaning they won a national championship 5 years after '99, their first, and 2009 is just on the horizon.
Yeah, how about that? I didn't think about that.
You know, some coaches are on a 5-year plan to get their programs back. It's a little different at UConn. The bar's a little higher.
Bar is as high as it gets, huh?
Yes.
Well, the last time they won it was Okafor and Ben Gordon, and Rashad Anderson was knocking in threes all over the place. And of course, right here, it's going to be a different story, but they do have shot blocking as always. They have depth in all positions, and Stanley Robinson, number 21, is back from the sheet metal factory, and that's going to help a lot.
Yes. Came over to say hello before tonight's broadcast. UConn seems so poised out there. Is that the impression you get?
I do get that, don't you? Yeah, I agree. Not a lot of panic.
Dixon on a drive, challenging the big guy, and Adrian down with the ball, and the Huskies will push it. Price on the handoff to Adrian, but he missed it.
Had to jump sideways. Nice defense.
Under 60 minutes for the second half. Cincinnati's been behind most of the game, but certainly within striking range.
Vaughn is tired. He's playing away right here. I don't think he wants it. Trying to take a rest away from the basketball. Let somebody else play for a little bit.
We'll get a TV timeout here shortly, and some help from Rashad Bishop from the elbow. Well, you're looking for secondary scores, and I think the Cats are finding them.
Yeah, Mitchell in the first half, Rashad Bishop here. And, of course, the two main guys are going to be Vaughn and Williams.
UConn stretches into that student section, but nothing's going to stop that.
You know, it's not wise for Yancey Gates to try to front Hasheem Thabeet, because those are the easy kind of plays. Better to play behind him and try to have him make a move.
I thought last year in the game we saw, Thabeet kind of had his coming out party offensively.
Yeah, he did. And of course, he's still kind of a novice offensive player. People take his legs out a lot in games because he's so tall, and that limits his mobility.
Stolen by Dyson. He'll try to beat Vaughn. And one of the and one couldn't get, but we come back. He'll get some free throws. From Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, Hasheem Thabeet from 0-point range. 5 games completed already in Big East play today. One tonight, Syracuse and Rutgers. Let's visit the standings and show you the log jam at the top 4 undefeated teams. You'll see Pitt tomorrow against St. John's at the Peterson's Event Center in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Notre Dame, Providence, and UConn still very much around that top spot. Not on the lead lap, but with one loss.
Sort of depends on who you've played so far, you know. And every one of these teams is going to go through stretches where they play 3 or 4 ranked teams in a row. And that will be the litmus test for how good these teams really can be and will be during the course of the season. A lot of drama will be played out during the course of the season. Marquette's 4-0, and the 3 amigos on the perimeter with Dominique Jones and McNeil and Wesley Matthews have been very, very good. And, of course, Pittsburgh, I think, plays the best defense in the country.
Big games coming up in the conference, well, it seems like every day. We'll start with St. John's and Pitt tomorrow at noon. Notre Dame and Louisville on Big Monday at Freedom Hall. And then Pitt at home along with Georgetown against Syracuse. Jim Boeheim's team having a wonderful season so far.
If you like guards, then you're going to like Johnny Flynn. And if you're going to watch Syracuse play, this guy is a leader par excellence. And, of course, Georgetown has one of the best young centers in Greg Monroe in the league. And Rutgers and Cincinnati, that will be a dogfight. Both of those teams near the bottom, and no one wants to be there.
Particularly if Cincinnati should lose this afternoon, Bob, and Rutgers lose tonight.
They are playing at the rack in that one, I believe, yeah?
Yes.
So that's a good home court advantage for Rutgers in that one. Mark Rosario doing a terrific job, one of the best freshman performers in the league so far.
A lot of fun to watch. 6-point deficit. Williams free throw line, shooting over the big guy, missed it. Follow-up, that's Yancey Gates.
What a challenge by Thabeet. Boy, he heard him coming, didn't he? And Gates really kept his cool on that shot.
Cincinnati is one of the better offensive rebounding teams in the country. And they're showing it right there with a putback from Gates, and the deficit is back to 4.
Interesting matchup. Rashad Bishop at 6'6" on Price. I think they want more length because he's been making those threes.
Last year in a game that we broadcast here, the Huskies and the Bearcats went down to the final gun.
84-83. That was a great game.
UConn was trailing most of that night. Cincinnati's offensive rebounds, we told you about, are strong. They've got 7 tonight. They're already in the top 10 in the country. And that was one of the focuses today during the shoot-around.
Frequent substitutions right now by UConn, trying to keep the guys well rested because of the emphasis on the pressure D. It'll be interesting to see how Vaughn keeps himself fresh in this game. You know, occasionally he takes an offensive trip off, and I think that's very smart on his part. Stays away from it a little bit so he can get his legs to play D and be explosive on the next trip.
They got Kemba Walker on him as the action's on the baseline. Banked a little too hard. And there's Walker, the freshman guard out of the Bronx, with the rebound. Going alley-oop. Well, he almost hit it. Back the other way comes Vaughn, right into trouble. Nothing called, will play on. Wow. Gates One-handed shot, he missed it. Rebound UConn, it's 1 and out.
It is getting rough out there, my friend.
And there's a bump by Dixon. That'll be a foul before any type of activity can go toward the goal.
It's getting testy out here, I'll tell you that, my friends. Right here, a little bump. Dixon, that's silly. But there was some action in the paint at the other end of the floor. Kemba Walker tried to throw a lob to Hasheem Thabeet, which was almost out of the building.
Dixon now has 3 fouls as he looks to guard Austria, who got open for the moment on the baseline. Now Austria off the dribble, tried to hand it off to Adrian, and it's loose in the paint. We held ball, but that's what it's called. We'll keep the possession right here for UConn.
You know, interesting, Austria could have shot that ball, would have been wiser to do so. It was one of those situations where the guy was open, but they were too close together, you know, and you don't want to make a pass to somebody when you're that near to him. Easy for Cincinnati to slap the ball away.
Bob, UConn continues to maintain at least a 4 to 6 point lead. How does Cincinnati not only get closer, but find a way to actually take a little charge in this game?
Yeah, you know what? I think they're good the way they are. You know, you're playing against the number 5 team in the nation. The things you're doing well, they're being aggressive at this end. They're doing a pretty good job defensively. They just got to hope that a bounce goes their way. Vaughn makes a shot near the end if they can stay this tight.
The largest deficit for the Cats today has been 8. Right now down by 6. Let's visit the all-time win list. Jim Calhoun front and center in that group with the greatest college basketball coaches. He's at 787.
And he's number 7 on that list. Hall of Famer.
They asked yesterday if Mick Cronin will be around as long as Jim Calhoun has been, and he said no. If I ever reach that particular time in my life, I'll be somewhere warm. Vaughn and a catch and shoot 3, in and out.
That was a man's rebound right there by Jeff Adrian on that one. But that was the kind of shot that you asked about that I think can ignite them.
And on the other end, nobody picked up Jerome Dyson.
Dyson made a shot just like that in the game that you mentioned last year, which really, really made them the winner. Right in front of Calhoun, close to the bench. And he's not known for his 3-point shooting either.
Mick Cronin wants a timeout. Are we reaching a danger zone right now for Cincinnati?
Well, I think so, because Mick Cronin decided to take a rest here. He's got something up his sleeve.
The largest lead of the afternoon belongs to UConn at 9. The Huskies, Bob, been very efficient at shooting the 3 ball this afternoon.
Well, especially A.J. Price. They only make nearly 5 a game on an average, and they're beyond that already in this game, chiefly due to the efforts of that young man who is now getting a rest on the bench, A.J. Price, who has bounced back from a fantastic situation where he played poorly. And on the other side of things, Jim, you mentioned this before, Cincinnati's defense of the 3-point shot has been abysmal in the last 3 games, and I'm sure Mick Cronin is trying to figure out why that is the case.
It was a problem in Cronin's first year as he tried to remedy the situation, which Cincinnati gave up a lot of 3s in non-conference play, and that is revisiting them in a very tough Big East conference. Little garbage basket there for Rashad Bishop, and they could use it.
Yeah, little luck never hurts. Now, in a game like this, at the 10-minute mark is usually when fatigue sets in, when teams are playing this hard the way they, and that's when poise sets in and frequent substitutions, experience. So let's see if Cincinnati can hold with the more experienced team.
Mike Williams gets position against the Huskies, and down by 7. Here comes Cincinnati and Deontay Vaughn. They'll be way out high on Williams. See if anybody gets a back cut here for the Cats, but Thabeet goes back to his normal spot. And Williams is going to move him around.
Look at him hedging out here on the guard, huh? He can cover distance with those long arms pretty quickly.
Boy, he sure can. Gates rising from the free throw line and scoring.
He's going to be good. You can see it. 6'9", 260 freshman. He will be a Big East power forward all-star before it's over in his career.
Cincinnati not going away as Jim Calhoun calls timeout. Coming up next Saturday, more Big East basketball. Dominique Jones, South Florida, into Morgantown to take on Huggins and the Mountaineers, who've lost 2 in a row. Big East Game of the Week on the Big East Network. South Florida, West Virginia, Saturday noon, 11 a.m. Central. Please check your local listings for the game and time in your area. Nancy Gates, the Ohio Division I Player of the Year in high school ball last season.
Well, this is a terrific move. He puts the ball on the floor 3 times, pulls up, squares his shoulders to the basket, and makes a shot from 15 feet. And he is a power forward. I'll tell you what, pretty good so far in this game against the number 5 ranked team in the nation.
And yesterday, Gates had to address, among other things, from the press, some of the grumbling among fans that Cincinnati's basketball is struggling, and it's going to be down in the basement this year, and they're not going to get this program back to the way it used to be. And Calhoun said last night, don't worry about Cincinnati. They've got talent. They're going to be okay.
They've been bitten by injury bugs, especially to Mike Williams, 2 years at that deal. And it seems like every year it's been like that. And this year with Kashmir Wright, the stellar point guard that was supposed to be starting. But they've got some stick-to-itiveness.
Yeah, I like that. I like Dixon with a reverse, and Cincinnati has answered that 9-point deficit with 6 straight.
It's good to be at home, I'll tell you that. Crowd helping them here.
UConn must work into the student section.
Trying to get to Thabit.
15 seconds, alley-oop, well done.
Oh, that was a called play by A.J. Price during the shot clock. Man, you talk about experience, huh? Senior point guard, he knew the defense was pressuring them. He knew that a back cut would be available. Nice execution.
And the crowd was getting into it, and no problem for UConn.
What do they call the student section here? Everybody's got a name, don't they? The Den. The Den, huh? Yeah, the Bearcat Den.
On this possession, Cincinnati down to 9. Vaughn can't find any opening. Gates has got to shoot a 3. Not what Cincinnati wanted. Rebound in position to Jeff Adrian.
Price taking control of the game here. Nice punch out right there by Toyloy, huh?
And on the other end, foul called as Vaughn tried to go to the basket. UConn's made back-to-back turnovers, and so the Bearcats more opportunities. Moments ago, the back cut and a finish by Stanley Robinson. It's a 5-point game. Don't go away. More drama to come. UConn 57, Cincinnati 52. Bob, let's talk about your floor generals for this season.
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, there are a lot of guys who direct teams in this league. A.J. Price is one of them. This was a remarkable call and delivery by A.J. to Stanley Robinson at a crucial time, and that's what you want from your generals, and these are the floor generals that I like. Torrey Jackson gets the ball to Harangody. Flynn is terrific. He's a blur at Syracuse. We mentioned Price. Dominique James. He is Barry Sanders in sneakers. And Levance Fields, the point guard on the #1 team in the nation. His assist-to-turnover ratio is spectacular. Those are the guys that I like in this league.
5-to-1.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Price's
AJ,
numbers.
Pretty good tonight, huh? 16 points, 4 assists. And this coming off his worst game of the year, of his career, he said, against West Virginia.
To Cincinnati's credit, they have defended him better after he opened the second half for the 3. So he's been scoreless for a little while. But he's still around that perimeter and can still knock down a 3. And there's a Cincinnati mistake that the Bearcats don't need at this point with 9 minutes to go.
And you got Deontay Vaughn on your team, and he's playing, he's feeling good in this game. Anything can happen with that guy. He can score a lot of different ways.
Vaughn right now defending Price.
Gates has got his hands all over Thabit when he posts up, trying to use his strength against the superior height of Hashim.
Adrian controls with 7 to shoot. Dyson, great pass to Thabit.
Oh, another setup play. The lob was one play, and that was a very involved play right there. Set up from the bench during the timeout. Nice execution.
In this game, UConn has been limited to just 2 block shots, but has altered 8 others.
Yeah, the altered is the interesting part, huh?
Nobody's ever kept records on how many shots over the years UConn has altered, but it would be quite phenomenal.
How many did you say they blocked over the last 7 years?
1,900 plus.
1900 plus.
We come back. Jeff Adrian, the warrior of the Huskies, has got free throws. Huskies ranked 5th in the country, protecting a 5-point lead.
They get up by 5, and on the last play, there was great execution and timing for Hasheem Thabeet. This was called from the bench. They were in a tough situation. All 5 guys involved in the play. Look weak side right here. Stanley Robinson on the lower right sets the pick for Thabeet coming along the baseline. Dyson delivers, and the ensuing dunk. Many of those have happened in the course of that guy's career. And there we tell you, 38 of his 73 this season have been of that variety. And that is a well-executed play by an experienced team in a clutch situation.
He is shooting 70% from the floor for the season. The team today shooting at 58%.
Adrian is such a consistent guy, isn't he? I'll tell you, he's always there. Even when Thabeet goes out, he gets to dominate the paint and play a little bit more offensively. He's been a workhorse for this team for 4 years.
Again, the coach calls him our only true muscle.
I'll tell you, some of these guys look like they got pretty good muscle to beat.
Yeah. Second half shooting still favoring UConn. Composite number again at 58% for the game.
Notice how they push Vaughn toward the screen, and Thabeet hedges out on him. That's been pretty effective.
And on this possession, not much time for Cincinnati to work with, way out front. Vaughn decides to take it against everybody, and he banked it.
Wow, that was high off the board.
Cincinnati has not backed away from a challenge today, even though the great reputation of shot blocking goes along with UConn wherever the Huskies go.
Yeah, Dyson kind of, just got beat on that one, got his feet stuck in cement, which is very rare.
Price rises and scores. A.J. Price,
oh, man.
18 points this afternoon.
Now you know why I've got him as one of my leading generals. Of course, if we would have done that the other night when he didn't have a good game,
wouldn't have made you look real good, would it?
That's right.
Dixon penetrated, but had nowhere else to go. Huskies continue to maintain their advantage. Williams gets that handoff for the free throw line. This time he misses, and there's another rebound for Adrian. That's 11 for the game to go along with 11 points. Kemba Walker saw a seam, charged right to the hoop, rolled it in. 9-point lead for UConn, and now Cincinnati get into a spot of trouble.
Yeah, experience tells a lot, I'll tell you. Hasheem Thabeet and Adrian did it defensively, and the young freshman Walker went coast to coast.
Despite the weather in Cincinnati, never too early to talk about golf. Golf fans, Club Pros registration for the 2009 ESPN National Golf Challenge is already underway for courses and teams in the Gross Net and new 55 and older senior division. For more information, log on to ESPNGolf.com. Moments ago, Kemba Walker, fine point guard out of New York City, and nobody picked him up.
Left-handed, nice left-handed dribble right there. Right into your living room, and Mick Cronin was unhappy about that. He wanted that contested, but sometimes you can't contest because of the fatigue factor that develops late in games. Guys trying to get to their own man. UConn has on their offensive possessions, Jim, in the last 3 minutes really executed well, and Price has really taken over. His leadership role is very, very evident in this game.
You have seen UConn over the years. Can you sense when they start to smell the blood?
Well, I don't know. I can't tell because I have a lot of respect for Cincinnati. I've seen them play tough teams, ranked teams, closely all the way through. I don't think there's any give up in the guys in the white shirts by any stretch. You don't think so either, I'm sure.
No. But you also wonder the fatigue factor if it's starting to set in because Cincinnati has had to play a tough defensive game. Price for three. Another three for A.J. Price.
You talk about a guy stepping up and having a great game when they need it badly. Wow, has he come through. A.J. Price.
Well, coaches will say on occasion you play as you practice, and he had a wonderful practice a day or two ago. He just nailed everything in sight, and it has reflected tonight. Deficit back to 10, but time is starting to work in Connecticut's favor.
Price just ran past us shouting regular, regular, which is their normal motion movement right here to Kemba Walker. Even though Kemba is handling the basketball, Price is calling the sets.
Three-guard lineup right now for UConn, and 2 point guards out on the floor.
Yeah, increases the ball handling.
Walker misses. Nobody blocked out Adrian. Guess who cleans up?
I'll tell you, the workhorse, the blue-collar worker, Brookline, Massachusetts. I'll tell you what, he is really, really something.
His double-double numbers continue to improve. 13 points, 11 rebounds in the game. 38th of his career, by the way. There's an answer for the moment, though, by Dixon. And now Cincinnati needs stops. And that's too easy of a catch.
Cincinnati has not substituted as frequently, and therefore they are more fatigued at this juncture than Connecticut in this game. Keep in mind, Stanley Robinson and Fabit only played 8 and 9 minutes respectively in the first half. Vaughn's gone the whole way.
And as expected, we have not seen any UConn zone in the second.
That's exactly right.
Nick Cronin uses a timeout with 4 minutes and 7 seconds left in the game. 72-63 our score. A.J. Price off a scoreless night in Morgantown has been blistering tonight.
The three-point shot is very much in evidence, and of course, Jeff Adrian, the power forward of the UConn Huskies, there to clean things up.
And the Warrior with a glance at the student section. I like watching the Warrior play. How about you?
I do. I really enjoy his game. I respect him a lot. Connecticut, so far, 60% tonight, and they shoot 49% on the year, which is very, very good. A lot of teams in the Big East shooting near that 50% range, and when you do that, you're going to win a lot of games. Of course, UConn's defense also stellar. They keep people at about 36%. And I'll tell you, their depth, I think, has been very, very important in this game. Jim substituted a lot in the first half. He uses Gavin Edwards in there in the post area, uses 4 guards, and all 4 guards are good players, with Austria and Walker coming in off the bench, Price and Dyson, the starters. He's used his big lineup when he felt that was necessary. Now with the lead with 4 minutes, ball handling becomes more important, so he's got the 3-guard lineup in here right now.
Good point. So when you have veteran leadership, you can mix those combinations and match them, and they have responded with baskets when they've needed them the most.
Zone defense look right here by Cincinnati.
UConn will take its time, find the good look. Dyson had it, but he waved at it, and Cincinnati gets the loose ball. Into the front court, the freshman Dixon walked with the ball.
Little freshman mistake right there by Mr. Dixon.
So UConn gets it back, and a 9-point lead when we return to fifth third. Cincinnati, Ohio, the Queen City, all lit up tonight as we get into the new year. The Cincinnati fans hoping for a little bit more. The score should be reversed, actually. UConn leads by 9, 72-63. So Husky fans, don't grab your heart there. Nothing has changed since we last left you.
Well, last time out, Mick Cronin decided to go 2-3 zone. It was effective. Dyson got a shot at the free throw line, which was kind of an air ball. The big lineup is better against zone than the small lineup for UConn, because Adrian flashes into the high post, as does Stanley Robinson.
Now, the zone allows UConn to use some clock, does it not?
It does, indeed. But you want to keep playing. You know, you don't want to stall yourself out.
Time running out in this possession. Austria to the basket, got held up. The Beat's got to shoot it. And as he did, he was fouled. And just before the clock expired, that's a break for UConn.
He's holding his arm in an odd way there. It looks like he hurt himself a little bit. Maybe got a stinger on the elbow. This guy has improved dramatically. And, of course, in the preseason prognostications, UConn picked as high as second by most people, in large part to all of their returning players, but in some part thinking that this young man would develop offensively, and he has. He's averaging a double-double on the year.
Had a hip pointer in the game against Rutgers recently, but still managed 15 points, 8 rebounds, 4 fouls now in Deion Dixon.
He was the defensive player of the year nationally last year, was Hashim Thabit. Could repeat that honor this year if the Huskies go deep.
66% shooter from the line before those 2 misses. Still some life left in Cincinnati.
Well, Vaughn's UConn's going to try to take over. I don't think there's any question about that. You run your stuff until he finds a crease.
Ball with 17 on the night. Gates throws one up, rolled it in and out, and there's Jerome Dyson fighting for the rebound, and UConn can use a lot of the 35 once again.
You know, Dyson really is a pretty darn good rebounder for a 6'3" guy. He's so quick to the basketball. He's a tough, hard-nosed guy. And here's what you talked about. They're starting to use the clock on these possessions. Mick Cronin has to decide whether he wants to come out and trap or go man-to-man. He's motioning the thumb.
And still nothing aggressive defensively, so UConn goes deep into the clock. Down to three, a long-range three. It's a little too strong. Dyson fighting for the rebound. He came up with it.
Quickness. I'll tell you, he makes so many plays like that. Gates and Dyson touching one another. Good sportsmanship. Dyson makes a lot of those kind of plays where it's just hustle, keeps a possession for his team. There, on the ensuing play before, he made that rebound among the trees. Does a lot of good stuff for this team.
And by making that play, gives a full shot clock opportunity to UConn so they can knock this thing down to about a minute and a half.
Now it's man-to-man, and probably you're going to see some traps somewhere. This is where the three guards come in. Kemba Walker has great speed. I think he's got to learn judgment. He's got about as many assists as he does turnovers this year. Austrie, a different type point guard. He handles the ball and doesn't turn it over quite as much. And, of course, Price, the leader.
With seconds remaining on the possession, Price still with the ball. Austrie will try to hit a three. Does, and that might just about do it.
I like that combination of players in the game. Heady, don't you think?
And that type of attribute certainly applies to this UConn team, where experience has been huge over the years. They've played with good composure tonight and own a 10-point lead with only 79 seconds to go. Well, unless something changes, Cincinnati will try to break the losing streak Wednesday night. We'll have it for you, Big East basketball. Mike Rosario, if you haven't seen him play yet, you're in for a treat. Stars for Rutgers. They're in the Fifth Third Arena against Deontay Vaughn and the Bearcats, 7:30 Eastern Time. Rutgers in Cincinnati. Check your local listings for time and game in your area. We reset the game. No timeouts left for the Bearcats. Connecticut still has a full complement practically with 3. Foul situation, only 2 fouls in the second half. Both teams have done a pretty decent job of protecting the ball, but UConn just doesn't make many mistakes no matter where they play.
I'll tell you what, you know, A.J. Price, we got to talk about him. I mean, after his worst game of his career, by his own admission, he comes in here and plays a fabulous game in all areas. Not only the leadership part, but also the shooting part. In the first half, A.J. Price comes in the game, makes threes when UConn has not been making threes for weeks. And then he comes in, makes a three deep at the end of the half to give them some breathing room. 2 of them from deep. That gave them a 4-point lead. Then he hits threes to start the second half to keep Cincinnati at bay. And then, of course, he makes terrific passes on that last play. He got the ball to Austrie, who made a shot. He called a play for Stanley Robinson for a lob. He also executed a play where Thabit got a dunk underneath the basket. Every time Cincinnati was close, that guy made the plays that kept them at bay.
Man, the closest Cincinnati got was within 3 at 55-52. Since then, 15 of the last 21 points scored by UConn to put themselves in position to seal it and run their record of 14-1 and 3-1 in the conference.
Full court pressure.
Austrie in trouble. Austrie gets bounced. Cincinnati with a team foul, a non-shooting foul, that is, because they're not over the limit yet.
Well, they got to try to pressure right now and foul if they can, get steals if they can.
Nothing to lose at this point.
No, indeed. And this is why 10-point games turn into 16-point games, or why, if it's successful, 10-point games turn into 3-point games. Rarely do you see a game where this fouling strategy, when you have a 10-point lead with this much time, actually works. But it's the only thing that teams can do, so they do it.
Deion Dixon's night is over. 7 points for the evening for the freshman. And especially it would not seem to work against a veteran team.
Yeah. And you know, the good part for UConn is in these, they're going to be ahead a lot in games, and they've got to work on their offense against the press. Vaughn held, and that is a good call by the official right there. They tried to get something so the clock doesn't run at all. And then on the other hand, for Mick Cronin, they've got to work on their pressure defense at end games, because they might be in close games where it's a 2 or 3 point game, not a 10-point deficit, and they need to know how to execute these things during that time.
When Cincinnati lost to Memphis a few weeks ago, Bob, Memphis hit only 2 of 18 threes. Since then, it's almost been like a layup drill for teams against Cincinnati. So if you're in Mick Cronin's shoes for the moment, what do you do to fix that?
I don't know, because I'm watching the game and I don't see that they're wide open all the time. I don't see that the Cincinnati players aren't hustling. I don't know, maybe it's just a quickness issue and, not getting their hand up in time.
Greg Austrie back in the spot he was last year in a pressure game in which UConn had to make up 12 points with 6 minutes to go. And Mr. Reliable gets the first free throw. He has 9 for the game.
I like that moniker for him. I really like this kid's game, and he's been there for quite some time and has always been sort of one of the blend guys. He's a senior, so lots of experience on this UConn team.
They will need him in an 18-game schedule, which is pressurized, then the Big East tournament, then the NCAA tournament.
18 games in the league. You're right. And then you're going to play at least one, so you're playing 19 games. And also, during those 18, you will play everyone once, and you will play 3 teams twice. And how do you figure out who those 3 teams are? Well, the league office tells you. A lot has to do with television. A lot has to do with local rivalries. So you don't want always to be playing. And they also want to balance it, where you play 2 tough teams and 1 not so tough team, at least perceived that way.
And I like the fact the conference has gone to a schedule in which everybody sees everybody at least once. That wasn't necessarily the case a few years ago, and I think a lot of fans felt, they want to see some of those bigger name teams, and in some instances didn't get that opportunity.
I think that was a big reason for it, and I agree with that. I did not like the scheduling when it was that way. You never knew what the standings, if the standings meant anything, depending on who you were playing.
A minute left, 11-point lead for the Huskies. Rashad Bishop hops to the hoop. Deficit is 9. 6 points for Bishop.
Well, Connecticut's defense is extremely lax right here. They're letting guys just drive through the basket and score. And, I'm sure Jim Calhoun's not happy about that. You certainly don't want to foul. And when you're behind in games, this is a good lesson for Cincinnati down the road. When you're behind in games and the other team is trying to preserve and not foul, you can take the ball to the basket. That's why taking threes too early when you're behind is not always the thing to do. Get a sure 2.
With a good lead, you don't want to be in a prevent defense, do you?
Exactly, same concept.
Thought I'd throw that in because you're in the city of Pittsburgh tomorrow where the Steelers are playing. Of course, your business is with Coach Dixon and the Pitt Panthers, but the Steelers are the other act.
I'm sure we'll be seeing that traffic, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a great day in Pittsburgh tomorrow with the #1 college team and the Pittsburgh Steelers in the NFL playoffs.
And the city is hopping crazy, not only over football, but certainly basketball. First time ever that Pitt has been ranked as the #1 team in the country. As for Jim Calhoun's team, they'll at least have the 5 spot when the ratings come out on Monday.
The thing about being the #1 team is it doesn't have to do really, the job of the coach and Jamie Dixon is to make sure that that doesn't affect his team, because there is a big difference. When I was at Duke, we were #1 several times, and the national notoriety that comes to you, the other things that you're supposed to do can get to be overwhelming in situations like that. Jamie Dixon has to try to keep the focus of his team right in front of them and not about being #1.
Great honor for the Panthers, and tomorrow their first test as the #1 team. Bishop with a 3, no timeouts remaining for the Bearcats, and 24.5 seconds remaining. UConn will continue to stay undefeated on the road or at neutral sites.
Well, they've only lost 1 game, and that was at home against Georgetown, and they weren't happy about that one. So the team that was rated 2 is rated 5 right now, and they have overcome another challenge. Cincinnati gave it all they had, I think, in this game.
I agree.
Not a lot to be ashamed of for Mick Cronin's crew.
And at the same time, nice win for the Huskies and Jim Calhoun. Bob, safe travels to Pittsburgh. We'll catch you tomorrow against St. John's. 81-72 our final as the Huskies win again. They're now 14-1 on the year, 3-1 in the Big East Conference. For Bob Wenzel and our entire Big East Network crew, I'm Jim Barber. For more information, log on to ESPNplus.com. The preceding has been an exclusive presentation of ESPN Regional Television, the worldwide leader in collegiate sports.
The Army has always expected more from a soldier. More strength, more discipline, more integrity. Now, a soldier can expect more from the Army.